This is the channel for the woman who's done playing small, the woman who knows there's a fire in her belly, a voice in her bones, and a destiny she's done apologizing for. If you're ready to unleash the woman you were born to be, hit subscribe and join the movement. I'm Leona Schrock, and let's rise together.
Happy New Year. It is today, but when this drops, it's not going to be the Chinese New Year of the year of the fire horse. Let's talk about it. So, we have now said goodbye to the year of the snake and we have welcomed the year of the fire horse. So, I was talking to one of my really good friends, soul sisters, I would call her today. And we were talking about the year of the fire horse. We were going over some business ideas, and just like both of our businesses are like popping the top, and there's a lot of excitement in the air, and it's a good thing. And I also see a lot of hype across the internet about like, ooh, the fire horse. And I can feel when people like their energy, a lot of it has been around like, oh, thank God the year of the snake is over. And I just smile because I'm like, are you familiar with a horse? Like, on a real note, are you familiar with a horse? Because everybody can go and fall into the allure of like horses are beautiful and they're majestic and they're intuitive. And I began to talk about, because I grew up with horses, and then in my first marriage, well, my one and only marriage, but my ex-husband and I had horses, like a horse farm where we raised horses, and then I also went horseback. And I got into this story of talking about like how with horses, it's such a deep inner, like horses feel your energy, and horses are very intuitive in how you show up and how the horse shows up. How the horse is with you is typically a reflection of your own energy. And I personally love horses. It is one of my dreams to one day be married again and have a horse farm. I think horses are very therapeutic. Horses also have a mind of their own, and horses will do as they please, take off when they desire to, can take off at any given moment, and you might want to be ready to hold on, because if you don't hold on for the ride and go with along for the ride, you will either be dragged or you will be thrown off. And that was where the story was going. And I'm going to share the story a little bit because she was like, oh my gosh, like this was so helpful for me to like going into the year of the horse, of kind of like having a perspective and having insight on this. Because if you didn't grow up with horses, or you don't actually know a lot about horses, you don't know. All you know is what you've been told and what the information that you've been fed. But somebody who has like trained them, and I am no expert by any means, but I want to talk about a little bit because this is going to give you, like, I feel as somebody who is very intuitive and who loves energetics and who is constantly in the spiritual realm with like discernment and intuitive and being an executive coach and like who I'm growing and identity shifting and my business, then a lot of times when I know what I'm kind of navigating through, I'm like, okay, like I know this is part of riding the wave, or like we knew the year of the snake was a lot of shedding. So it was like, okay, I'm shedding again, shedding a whole new, a whole identity, letting go. So with the horse, okay. So I remember when I went on my very first horseback riding trip adventure. Even though I had grown up with horses, I wasn't familiar with riding horses. Sure, I had a pony when I was growing up that I would ride, and before we went on our trip for horseback riding, I would like hop on the horse's back, and that was literally like around the barn, out the drive, in the pasture, all the different things. That is a very different realm than going into the Allegheny Mountains in horseback riding. And I did not prepare for this. It was not like I had riding lessons. I remember my ex at the time was literally like, you'll be okay. We're doing this. And I was like, here we go. And it was one of his friends and um, his friend's wife, which I like am friends with. And the four of us went out to the Allegheny Mountains and we went horseback riding. And we were going through the mountains. And I was like kept watching because the horse that I had, they're like, she's very safe, she's really good, you don't have to be an experienced rider, like all the different things. But I still was a ball of nerves because there is something to be said when you are on a horse, on the back of a horse, and you are looking straight down, and you know that if you fall, then death is, it's a good chance that death or being paralyzed or getting hurt dramatically is like at the highest of highs because you were up on the mountain. And I would be trying to guide the horse's footing. And I was like so uptight and I was nervous and she wasn't acting correctly. And I remember when all three of them said to me, if you just trust and let her, she knows her footing better than you do. All that's required of you is to like go along for the ride and for you to like relax and breathe. Let her be. And of course, we're following each other, but trust that she knows her footing. Okay, okay. Let me just like, let me go into full meditation for the next 5 minutes. No, I, that's not even an option. So I remember finally getting to this point where I was like, you know what? If I die, I die. I cannot continue to go through this ride trying to control her. That if I want to actually take in the beauty, if I actually want to enjoy this experience, if I actually want to learn how to like enjoy horseback riding, it's going to require me to let go and surrender. So I kind of just went into this whole realm of like, it is what it is. I'm just going to let go. Of course, my body was still a little bit tense. But on the other side of it was this release on the inside of me of I get to let go and I get to enjoy the beauty around me, take in the experience, trust in this horse as we are going through the mountains. And I have no idea. Of course, I had other people that were with me, but I have no idea where we're going. And every time there's a sudden drop off, of course, I still have my moments where I was like, and then she would feel me and she would like, you could tell by her footing that she was second guessing herself more. And this is where I'm saying in the year 2026, the year of the horse, it's going to be a dance. It's going to be a tight knit dance of you and your intuition and the reflection of when you pull back with your intuition and you're not trusting versus when you lean in with your, like it's just like horseback riding. Every time that you drop into your body and you let go and you trust, then it goes, even when the drop off is right there, even when it's scary, even when you don't know where you're going, the horse knows its footing. So it's like you and God, you and the universe, step by step, there's this dance of intuition, and it's not coming from the head. I couldn't think my way through with this. And there was no running from it. There was no hiding from it. There was no like trying to pretend or have a mask on. It was full vulnerability that I was opening myself up to allow this horse to go through the mountains. And we get out of the mountains and we go across the stream and we go down the ditch on the other side and onto the road. And there was this moment where it was my girlfriend and I, we were side by side and we were like chit chatting, talking kind of in our own world. And the horses were just doing this thing. And I don't know what happened. I can't remember what it was. But in that moment, my horse decided to bam, just like that, take off. And I had two choices in that moment. One was I could either lean in and let her have the rein and go with it and trust that she knew what she was doing, or I could control the situation, pull her back, try to stop her, and have a fight in a like struggle with it. Either or wasn't wrong, but I remember because it was a wide open space, I just leaned into it. And my girlfriend was on her horse and she did the same thing. She like just put her arms around and she just like let the wind go through her. I wasn't at that point of in my like I wasn't at that point in my I was going to say line dancing in my horseback riding, where I put my arms out and I just like tucked it in between my thighs with the saddle. But I let the reins go. I let it go. I let her go at the speed of lightning, and we just went. Both of us just went. It was one of the most terrifying and the most freeing feelings that I had in a very long time. And when we got to the end of it, and her and I were both laughing and we're joking about it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I remember my ex at the time was like, "You shouldn't have done that. Like, she could have slipped on the road as she went onto the road." And like, it was this moment where I was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys told me to let go." And obviously, there's a time and a place for that as well. But I was like, I did the very thing that I was like, I trusted in that moment. I knew my horse had it. I knew that there was nothing in it. I knew that there was also something that spooked her, which was the reason that we were going off, like, let's just go. And my girlfriend looked over at me and she was like, "No, you handled it the way that you actually were supposed to. You trusted your horse, you were intuitive, and we just let it go." And it was this when you let go, it was this moment of freedom. And I say this to say that there's going to be times this year where life comes in just like that. And it's going to be like at the speed of lightning, is going to want to take you off. And you're going to have the choice of pulling back at the reins and trying to control the situation and trying to stop and go at the pace that you want to go, or you're going to get to lean in and you're going to you can either put your arms out or you can let the reins be loose and you can ride the wild ride and you can have the feeling of freedom and exhilaration, but it's going to require you to let go. It's going to require you to trust. It's going to require you to drop deeper in your body. So many of us have been living from our head space or trying to figure out, protect, and do life from our head. And there's this woman that I follow on TikTok. Her name is Jamie. And she was saying how so many women build their business from the neck up. And if you're anything like me, you are a visual learner. And something that has been one of my biggest identity shifts, something that has been, I would say, has made my whole world fall apart, but yet has opened me up to a whole new way of life. And I'm sure if you're still watching this, then you can actually relate to this is I built my whole life from doing. I built my whole life from making sure that I was doing the things, taking responsibility, taking the action. I was the child in the house that made the stuff happen. I navigated through people's emotions. I was the therapist. I was the doer. I was the achiever. I was the protector. I did all of the things. And I lived my life like that for most of my life until this past year, I have dropped into the beingness. There is a huge shift for a woman to go from doing, from the way that the world has conditioned us, religion has conditioned you, your household has been conditioning you, to knowing your power of a woman and how powerful you are in your beingness. Because when you are in your femininity, and that doesn't mean lack of masculinity, that means you have learned how to dance with your masculine and your feminine. Something that I'm still doing the inner work around. Is still something that I'm still navigating through. But here's the thing. Once you start dancing with both and you start bringing it inside of you together, your beingness is you in your femininity. That is your magnetism. That is your power. That is you tapping back and reclaiming her. You are reclaiming the woman that God has designed you to be, which is your intuition, which is your discernment. It is allowing your God-given GPS system to come to open up and flood through you. It does not care about logic. Intuition gives zero fucks about logic. It is here to navigate you and take you right into a straitjacket into the life of your dreams, which is going to uproot all of your belief systems. It's going to uproot your self-protecting mechanisms. And that's what I wanted to share in saying this of the program that I'm in right now and the coach that I'm working with right now is I have done years and years and years of, I did personal development, I've done the somatic, I've done the therapy work, all the different things. And then there comes a point in time where you leave the healing journey and there's an embodiment. It's healing and it's embodiment, and there's a bridge. And many get stuck in the healing journey. And when you get stuck in the healing journey, that is not where you create the life that you desire. That is where you keep yourself safe. And when you leave the healing journey and you go into embodiment, that means you start dropping all the self protecting mechanisms and you start integrating everything that you learned in your healing journey. It's really uncomfortable. It makes you feel vulnerable. This is where nervous system regulation is deep. And this is where you go deep into the core root of things. In your healing journey, you look at things and you get to the root of them and you acknowledge them and you see them and you peel back the layers. In embodiment, there's an integration. And then you're taking aligned, inspired action. And in order for you to take aligned, inspired action, that requires you to be connected to your intuition. And being the year that it is, the year of the fire horse, that means it's going to be a wild ride, a stampede. Have you ever watched a herd of Mustangs, wild Mustangs? Yeah. Have you ever trained a horse? The number one thing when you go to train a horse is trust. It's creating that relationship between you and the horse and the trust. So some of the top things for you this year are going to be trust, intuition, surrender, embodiment. It's so beautiful and it's so powerful, and it's going to be this wild ride, and you're ready for it. And it's a force to be reckoned with. Yes, horses are fierce and gentle, but are not to be messed with, the same as it is for you. Next episode, I'm going to be talking about the grieving process that happens between healing and embodiment, and something that I feel like it has not been talked about enough, and that has been brought up over and over and over and over the last while. And I said I'm going to make a podcast and a YouTube video. So stay tuned. I will see you next episode. Until then, keep tapping into your power, because this is the year where you are going to create big things and live your life big.